Thank you so much for joining me again today, everyone. This is my last video of 2025. So today, I've got a sparkling, subtly glamorous holiday makeup look prepared, perfect for the year end. It's the end of the year, and we don't want to look ordinary, right? I've prepared a look that will make you feel your absolute prettiest. The key points are glossy cheeks, lips, and eyelids. It's going to look so good in the winter. Let's start the makeup together. Let's go. I had the windows open earlier to air out the room, so it's freezing. This is a really cute blanket, a stitch blanket. I actually bought this at the Disney store in Tokyo. You see, I just got back from church this morning, so I already have my sunscreen applied. My face might be a little messy, so instead of washing it, I'll just cleanse with cleansing water. It's so gentle, non-irritating, and removes everything so well. There's no cleansing water quite like it. I really love using cotton pads that are made up of multiple layers. Even if I just wipe one area, so much dirt comes off. I just peel them right off. My face looks really tired, doesn't it? I had a really bad cold for quite some time, and my face looks extremely out of sorts right now. I truly believe the before and after will be strikingly different. Then, I'll gently wipe my face again using the Leader's Peel Step Toner. If cleansing water remains, it feels a bit sticky. Leader's products also suit my skin well. This one is great too. It lets you gently exfoliate and smooth out your skin texture. My face is still a bit damp, so I'll let it absorb. If you apply cream when your face is too wet, it can just slide off without absorbing. So I'll pat it in gently, then follow with my absolute favorite, tension cream. What's the date in January? On January 11th, the market opens. Everyone, buy it at a discount. Don't pay the full price for it. I kept asking for a bigger discount, so I requested the maximum discount rate for the market. I hope you get it for the lowest price possible. This cream is for all seasons, and it's a moisture cream that works for all skin types. It's not a greasy cream, so it works well for all skin types. Lately, I've just been too lazy to apply essence. And since I started using this cream, I've been skipping essence even more. Because this cream is incredibly hydrating, just applying toner and then this cream is perfectly sufficient. Just apply this and then a little more rich moisturizing cream. Since it's a moisture cream, its hydrating power isn't super strong. So when my skin is dry, I layer a moisturizing cream like this on top. Next is sunscreen abate. This is one of the sunscreens I've been enjoying lately. It's lightweight, very hydrating, and applies so smoothly, making it perfect to use before makeup. You can feel how light it is, right? Panthenol cream. I've shown it many times, right? I've used so much. I bought a new one, and I thought this one was all used up, but it just keeps coming out. So, I still haven't managed to unseal the fresh tube, just a very small dab right there beneath my eyes. Just a small amount of the most intense moisture only under the eyes, and also on the lips. Isn't this tumbler so cute? A sobu? A sobu? It's from them. Ah, it's cold. You know that feeling? It's a waste to heat during the day. I only want it on at night. I actually popped this blemish a couple of days ago, and it's a bit tricky to apply makeup over it, so I'll protect the area with this. If you put it on before skincare, it really doesn't fall off. I forgot, and am putting it on now, but I'm so happy thinking about doing pretty makeup with you guys. I haven't been getting my nails done lately. I had them all removed, but since I'm doing a really glamorous makeup look today, I felt like bare nails wouldn't fit the vibe, so I bought some press-on nails. So I plan to wear this plum shade today. Since it's the year end, doesn't this reddish color just come to mind? The makeup inspiration for today will be K-pop idols. Sparkling glamorous year-end looks, K-pop idols of course. And Miyawaki Sakura is so stunningly beautiful, isn't she? Truly gorgeous. But her makeup is so pretty too. And Wonyoung is like a fairy. A fairy. It's a look that's full of life and has a sparkly feel, you know? I'm not copying it exactly, I'll just use it as inspiration. Alright, now for the base. Skin tone is really important. The saturation of everyone's skin tone varies greatly. When I learned about personal colors and had my skin color measured, I found that my skin saturation is quite low. Overall, my skin tone just doesn't have much redness. It's not redness from flushing or visible veins, but rather the underlying saturation of my skin itself naturally lacks much red, which makes the yellow tones appear more pronounced. So at a glance, I have a very yellow tone. There are people like me, and then there are people with a lot of redness in their skin tone, or those with a very high undertone. Some have strong yellow, orange, or red tones. It varies quite a lot. So, when we buy cosmetics, for example, if a product becomes popular because Sakura used it, you end up buying it. But when I applied it, the result just wasn't the same as hers. It's so different, right? Her skin tone and my skin tone have different undertones and brightness, so it can never look exactly the same. So first, you need to know how to properly assess your own skin tone. Honestly, the best way is to get a personal color analysis or something similar to have your skin professionally analyzed. If that's tough, just observe yourself closely in the mirror. Never check your makeup in just one type of lighting. Look in the bathroom, at your vanity, and in natural light. You need to check your skin tone in various places. And try comparing it with a friend or someone else. See if you're a bit darker or lighter. See if you have more yellow tones, red tones, orange tones, or maybe even a grayish cast. First, figure out your skin tone, and then look at the makeup photo of the celebrity you want to emulate. Of course, we can't see them in real life, so the photos are edited, right? It may not be precise, but simply check the edited photo to determine their skin tone and strive to replicate it as closely as possible. Just looking at this photo, I don't see much of a yellow tone. This makeup has no yellow, so I'll cover up all my yellow tones. I'm not saying yellow undertones are bad. Your skin is yellow. Your skin is red. That's perfectly fine. There's no right or wrong answer. From a makeup perspective, just think, I'm doing this look, so I'll cover my yellow tones. I'll adjust my skin tone a bit. I've brought these foundations. Since I'm putting a lot of effort into this makeup today, I'll do some color mixing. When I'm creating a pink toned base, the product I reach for most often is Espoir's Wedding Peach. I used it in my previous video, and this color really helps create such a beautiful pink hue. It's a clear pink shade. The undertone isn't too strong, making it perfect for a pink-toned base. It's not a good idea to mix it with a foundation that's already pink-based. It would end up way too red, right? Pink on pink just makes it too red. So you should choose a foundation that doesn't have any pink in it. This one is Shiseido Shade 110, and it truly has no pink undertones at all. It's a complete ivory color. You could even say it's a very pale ivory. When you mix in pink here, it becomes really bright and vibrant. But you know I have some major pores. My pores are really big. To easily cover these large pores, it's good to mix in some BB cream. I'll mix in Rosikin BB cream. It's totally different from foundation. It feels like it forms a hydrating barrier. While a foundation with light coverage might feel more like it's creating a barrier for coverage, BB cream, conversely, feels like it's creating a moisturizing barrier, which is excellent for pore coverage. When you apply a formula that's too dry to the pores, it doesn't actually fill them in. Instead, it tends to dry out and sit merely on the surface of the pores. This makes coverage a bit difficult. If you apply a product with balanced oil and moisture deeply into pores, the coverage becomes much smoother. BB cream balances oil and moisture but offers low coverage, right? So instead of using BB cream alone, it's better to mix it with some foundation. When you do that, the BB cream's moisturizing barrier combines with the foundation's coverage, making your pores look smooth and your skin texture silky. This BB cream came out in 3 colors. I just squeezed out the darkest one, number 3, right here. This foundation is quite light, so mixing both would result in a very light pink, which is why I'm incorporating a darker BB cream to slightly neutralize that effect. I'll mix it with a makeup spatula. My hands are clean, so I'll just mix it here like this. Mixing 3 products is too much for daily use, right? An easier version of this is to just use a pink-toned base. You know how foundation or cushion shades are broken down into neutral, warm, and cool tones, right? Just use a cool or pink-toned one. To apply it dewy, spray mist onto the puff. Spray it on. This is YUNJAC prep water, not required. Really, any face mist will do, but not a setting spray. Setting sprays remove oil, so they will make it matte. So a mist, not a setting spray. And then, this is a prep primer. It's really hydrating and gives a tacky finish. It's a primer I love, and you can apply it directly to your face, but applying it to the puff is also a great method. This puff itself provides that nice tacky texture. If it's too much, it won't adhere properly. Just pat it gently like this so it absorbs evenly all over. So when you press it against your face, you'll actually feel a subtle but pleasant tackiness to it. It's super hydrating. With a puff in this state, anything you apply adheres and absorbs incredibly well. Then, with a little foundation on the spatula, I pick it up with my puff, allowing it to soak in. If you apply it with a completely dry puff, the puff will just soak up all the foundation instead of it going on your skin. To prevent that, I first let the puff soak up a small amount. When I'm in a hurry, I don't do this. If it's a hassle, don't bother. You can just spray mist on it. Today, I'll be using a makeup spatula for my foundation. A makeup spatula is great for a glowy finish, and it's easy to use, so I'll just get some on the edge. Wow, this foundation is so dewy, even more so since I mixed it with BB cream. When I apply it, I focus on the inner parts of my face, not the outer edges. This part of my face is a bit sunken, right? I'll apply another layer on that area. So I do this to fill in any sunken areas and then I pat it in. My pores are a little big on this side, so I'll fill them in with a swiping motion. Oh, I didn't put on primer today. I forgot. But I can do it without a primer. No, wait. Let's put some primer on my nose. Just a very thin layer. This is so much fun, hee hee. I'm really looking forward to seeing how beautiful this makeup look will make me. I'll just put it in the center. If you apply it too widely, it gets thick all over and makes your forehead look wider. When the base becomes too thick, it can make your skin appear heavy and the area seem wider than it is. I'll take some from the puff and apply it directly onto my chin area, focusing there. I have pores on my chin too, so I'll swipe it on like this, and then my philtrum. Just a tiny bit on the nose. I'll skip primer today, it's just too much effort. Even without a primer, you can just go over it a few times with the makeup spatula. If you want to cover your pores faster and more easily, using a primer is a good idea. I'll apply a tiny amount to the bridge of my nose. There's really nothing to apply here. I'm just going over it with a very tiny amount, completely avoiding the entire eye area and only applying it to the upper part here. That way, it won't interfere with the eye makeup. In areas like this, you just use a tiny amount. But if you don't apply anything at all, it can look messy. So I've applied one layer, but I think I need another on my forehead. It's a bit dark here. My skin is incredibly thin. 2 layers are the absolute most. If I apply another layer of foundation, it'll just break apart. So I'll stop at 2 layers, but it still looks a little dull, doesn't it? For this, I'll use a tiny thin layer of concealer to cover it up. Adding more foundation and concealer would make it fall apart. So for those with really thin skin like me, you have to be extra careful to use less foundation. I'll take just a tiny bit more product, applying it to the apples of my cheeks, and gently dab it on to set it in properly. I use even less foundation than you think. Though it seems I'm applying more, there's hardly any left here. I'm using this bit here. See how it's gathered? I'm not using that, but the part underneath where there's almost nothing left to add another layer. That's how you pick up just a tiny amount and apply a thin layer. The less foundation you use, the better. Lately, for liquid concealer, I've been loving the ones from Luna and Dolce & Gabbana. They offer great coverage and colors, and this one's design is just stunningly beautiful. I highly recommend it for a gift. If this concealer is a bit too much, I suggest Luna. I chose the Dolce & Gabbana in the shade 1 Light. I chose this color because it perfectly matches my tone. The foundation I mixed has a pink tone, but this one is ivory, you see. The areas needing coverage now show strong redness. Using a pink tone concealer won't cover it, and might make it appear even redder. So I'll be covering up the redness with an ivory shade. Your concealer doesn't need to match your foundation's color. It depends on your goal, and we usually want to cover up reddish areas like this, right? So it's not good if your concealer is also reddish. It's much easier to cover if you use an ivory-toned concealer like this. It conceals better. I'll layer on multiple applications to cover my dark circles. Just gently tapping it in like this, you know, feather-light touches. My face will look instantly more vibrant. I'll get more product on my brush and I'll use it to cover the redness right here on my skin. When your skincare is done right, even the concealer just goes on so smoothly. If your skin isn't prepped, makeup looks cakey and doesn't apply smoothly. I'll take some concealer, apply it to the makeup spatula, and then put another layer on the areas that need covering. And my forehead also appears a bit dull. The reason I'm patting with a brush is that a makeup puff tends to absorb a lot of product. Since it lifts product, the more you pat, the more flaky skin you'll get. The brush doesn't absorb anything. The instant you pat it on, all of the product transfers onto your skin. So the coverage really improves, and you'll see less flakiness. Unlike a puff which removes product, a brush allows it to truly melt into my skin, minimizing flakiness and enhancing the color payoff. That's precisely why I'm tapping it with a brush. You shouldn't pat if there's too much product on the brush. You really need to skillfully control the amount, applying just a minimal quantity before gently patting it in. And since I have so many blemishes, I'll broadly apply a sheer layer before covering each one precisely. See how transparently they're showing? I'm making them semi-transparent, covering them enough so they look blurred. It's much easier and more effective if you initially blur them out broadly, before meticulously covering each individual spot with a fine tip brush. So that's why I'm applying it broadly as a first step. The more you layer, the thicker your skin can look. So if you apply a layer of thick concealer to sunken areas that have no volume, it can make them look a bit fuller. Your skin looks a bit thicker, so I use a white or pink concealer to counteract that. This is my go-to trick, adding dimension and filling in sunken areas. Using only pink isn't quite bright enough, so it lacks highlighting power, but using only white doesn't give you that vibrant look. So it's good to mix them. A little pink, a lot of white. I made a pinkish white shade. This brush is amazing. Makeup Forever's 206 brush, their concealer brushes are excellent. It's thin and applies so smoothly. It's designed to be really thin. I'll use this brush to meticulously fill in all of those hollowed out areas. I have these hollows right here and also right there, so I'm applying it precisely to those two spots. And since I want my forehead to look wider, I apply it to the very edge. On the tip of my nose, I'll keep it narrow, otherwise my nose will look wider. Smile lines. Next, the temples. If you don't have sunken areas like mine, you don't need to apply this much. Just apply it to your highlight zones. And dull areas around my mouth. And the slightly sunken parts of my eye holes. I'll also apply it with this brush to brighten the edges of my nose, making them less noticeable and giving the illusion of a smaller nose. And also brightening the edges of my nose so they don't stand out, making my nose appear smaller. Next, for blemish coverage, I'm using Luna's Clear Cover in shade 01, loading it evenly onto my fine tip brush, and now I'll meticulously cover each one. I really need to cover this patch, don't I? I'll gently tap the brush to match its size perfectly. And if I set it with powder, it will be somewhat concealed. I'm taking the concealer I used to cover up blemishes and the one I used to highlight, blending them together. This way, I get a bright shade with great coverage, which I'll then use to cover the hollows right under my eyes. That's covered up nicely. By mixing pink and peach, the concealer becomes quite red, right? So, you're essentially using a very reddish color to conceal any areas that appear green. You can apply it to areas such as visible veins or where you've tidied up your eyebrow hairs. It needs more orange than you'd think to cover well. If not, you have lip tint, right? All you have to do is mix a bit of lip tint or lipstick with your concealer to give it that reddish hue you need. There, base makeup complete. It's super luminous and radiant. Now, I really must tone up my neck as well. I'm mixing a blue color corrector into this pink tone-up cream. The idea is to mix it well, just like this, for an even application. Then apply. Since I used a pink base, my neck needs a pink tone-up too. But since that's not quite enough, I'm mixing in the blue color to really brighten it up. If I only used blue, my neck would look too pale. This powder is shade number 2. It's a bit darker than my current skin tone. Dab it right on top of this patch. Using a light powder would just make it brighter and more noticeable, so I'm going to subtly minimize my nostrils a bit. You know the sides of your nostrils? I'm going to take a darker powder and apply it there to give it a shadowed effect. When you apply this dark powder before contouring, even a little contouring creates a much deeper shadow. So the contouring effect is amazing. It's like double contouring. I'll connect it to the bridge of my nose. All the way to the eye socket. Next, I'll apply light powder to highlight areas. This is the Makeup Forever HD Skin Setting Powder in the lavender shade. It's so handy, you can open and close it. The color is a soft lavender. I'll use a small brush on my nose tip. And above the eyebrows. If this area is shiny, it can kind of look like you're frowning. So I'm just mattifying the shine here. You guys, this brush is so good. It's great for blusher and also for applying powder to specific areas. It's just so soft. Picasso brushes are always high quality, but this one is especially soft, and the size is exactly what I was looking for. I got this as a gift from Picasso. It's a 3-piece set. It's the Aurora Dream Set. I got it from them, and all 3 brushes are just so good. It's perfect for nose contouring. I'll show you later. This one's also great for filling the outer corner or smudging eyeliner. I thought I have to recommend this to you guys, but I know you might not want to buy it as a limited edition set. You might just want to purchase 1 brush. So I checked the numbers, but they were simply labeled 1, 2, and 3. You wouldn't know the product name, right? So I was so curious that I contacted Picasso directly. I said, "This is great. What's the number?" And they told me. This is 23, and this 207A eyeshadow brush, I actually have another one. But I've had this one for quite a long time now. I think it's been about a whole year. Since it's an old brush, it looks a little different from this new one. It's subtly different. You know, the bristles can actually change quite a bit depending on how you wash and use the brush. The bristle direction changes too. I purposefully shaped this one while washing it. When you gather it like this, it becomes a bit fuller and also tapers to a point, you know. It gathers like this. Since this is new, it's thinner and doesn't gather. I shouldn't have shaped it. This thin one is easier, so I'll press it next time I wash it. Pressing it like this thins it. This is the 207A brush. And then this one is the 311 eyeshadow brush. I found out that these 3 brushes are actually Picasso's best-selling products, released as a limited edition set. No wonder they're so good. Like this, on the chin, the philtrum, and near the sides of the nose. I'll just apply this amount to keep it looking dewy and fresh. I just came back after eating. So I'm going to take a break from doing my makeup to apply blush now. I've been searching for blusher in this specific shade, and Espoir actually sent me quite a few of these. How adorable are they? Take a look. It's like a keyboard. This is fun. I've managed to find a color I really like. These 2. This is 4 Ready 2. This is 6Y2K Kiss. Using 2 shades for this blusher works wonderfully. Apply the lighter one broadly, then the darker shade more narrowly inside for a beautifully stained natural look. Using a single color can easily look splotchy, so it's easier to layer a lighter shade first, then a darker one, to avoid patchiness. That patch I put on earlier kept dangling off and wouldn't stay, so I just removed it and used concealer instead. I'll apply it with this finger puff. It's a Yongsae Mule puff. I think I got it as a sample. I'll start by applying Ready 2, beginning at the eye area, then slowly blending it downwards. Applying blusher upwards creates a more lifted, lively and vibrant appearance. The higher up it goes, I'll bring it down right from under the eyes, like this. The color payoff is really good. It's very dewy. After applying this, I'll take the darker color number 6 and apply it to a smaller area. And with a cushion puff, I'll tap it like this so there are no harsh lines. Just the edges. If you tap the center, the blusher will vanish, so stick to the edges. The colors tend to fade with this background, which is why I rarely film here. The camera makes the colors look so washed out, so I'm actually applying it very heavily. Since my lip balm has completely worn off from eating, I'm going to put some back on. Then, taking the darker color again, I'll connect it across the bridge of my nose, but the way I do it these days is to apply it lower down, not up high. Right here, near the tip of the nose. You know how when you're contouring, you sometimes cut across the top horizontally, right? Breaking it here makes the tip of your nose look sharper and also shortens the length of your nose, doesn't it? If you use contour for this horizontal line, it can sometimes look patchy, but if you use blusher, you get that same effect of shortening the nose, plus a pretty, healthy flush. So I apply blusher right where I would normally contour. And over this, I'll lightly dust some powder blusher. It's in the Lost Berry shade. I want to add a bit more of a pinkish tone. A big brush can blend it out too much, so a smaller brush is better. This makes the color a bit more intense, and since a dewy finish can emphasize texture, this blurs it out. If you keep layering the same texture, it gets really cakey and thick. So you shouldn't apply too much of one texture. Instead, you need to alternate by layering different textures. So I apply the dewy texture first, and then I switch to a powder texture. That way it won't look too thick or heavy, just a touch on the chin as well. Applying it only to the chin's tip can look like a beard. It appears awkward, so it needs to be slightly higher. Upwards. In winter, a slightly flushed look is so pretty. Like you've been out in the cold? I'll add some red to the tip of my nose to give it that chilly vibe. Is it too red? I haven't powdered my cheeks yet. Now that my blusher is applied, I'll lightly powder only the areas with texture. I'm using Makeup Forever's bright powder to lightly touch up areas with texture, but I left this side untouched to maintain that glow. And I powdered the front here to make the texture less visible. Doesn't it feel a bit chilly? My eyes seem so puffy. Why is that? It must be because it's evening. My eyes are really sensitive. I have severe dry eye, so they get redder in the evening. Nose contouring. I'll mix Raw and ND's contour shades medium and light and apply it between my brows. The space between my brows is very flat. This part should be indented, but mine is super flat right here. So I'm adding depth right here, making it look deeper. When this part sinks in a little, your face appears much more three-dimensional. These colors can be bolder than you'd expect. You typically wear this makeup for a holiday party, right? If you're taking photos in a bright place, you don't want it to be too dark. But for that holiday vibe, you're usually in a darker place with lighting. When you take pictures with flash, a lot of the makeup gets washed out even if you apply it heavily. So it's actually fine if it's a little darker than you might initially think. Now I'll dip this 207A brush into the darker color and use it to define the shape of the tip of my nose. This thin brush is great for shaping the nose tip. After defining the shape, I wipe the brush on a tissue. Then, I gently blend out the edges after dialing down the color intensity. And for touch-ups, instead of a flat brush, don't use a brush like this, but rather a thick brush. Just gently tap to correct. It doesn't rub off as much, making corrections much easier. So I've made my nose look really small. I'll use the light powder I have to highlight one more time. And also just a little on the apples of my cheeks to make the sunken areas appear more voluminous. For outer contouring, since I used a dewy foundation, my skin might feel tacky. If I apply contouring right away, it can get patchy, and my hair will stick to it, so I'm going to use setting powder. I'll take the dark color I used earlier and powder the outer edges with it. Using a bright powder makes your face appear overly expanded. See, when you apply this dark powder, it subtly darkens. This means I can use less contouring on top. Since the base is already dark, I get a strong contouring effect with less product. Perfect! I'll apply this dark powder all around the outer edges to make my face appear smaller. For a true contouring effect, you must apply the color as broadly and deeply as possible, extending inward significantly, especially over the areas where you wish to reduce their visual size. I'll avoid intruding into any sunken areas as much as possible, focusing primarily on the parts that protrude. Next, for my eyebrows, I'll use the dark shade from the contour palette and draw them with a bit of an arch. For a more three-dimensional look, it's good to match it with your eye shape. Since my eyes are round, I'm arching my brows a bit. And I'll stretch it a little bit longer to really minimize the space here. And now I'll use my non-reversing mirror to check the symmetry as I draw my brows. Oh, the symmetry is really good. I nailed it, huh? Next, I'm not going to make my eyebrows too faint. All my makeup inspiration photos show really defined brows. Their eyes are defined, the liner bold, lashes dramatic. When your eyes are this defined, overly faint brows can really throw off the balance. Her eyebrows are also quite defined. If you check Won Young's photos, her brows have a strong presence. They're as defined as her eyes. Today, with my defined eyes, I'll also define my brows. I chose a color that isn't too intense. This is the Mocha Taupe color. I didn't pick colors that are too faint, soft, or light. I'm filling them in all over with a color that's slightly lighter than my hair. Fill in sparse areas with a darker natural brown. This one is actually a bit darker than my hair color. I'll fill in the sparse areas. I continuously checked for asymmetry in the non-reversing mirror while meticulously shaping my eyebrows, making sure they were just right. A wider brow space gives a subtle cute look. A narrower one makes the nose seem longer. If your face appears longer, you get a more mature vibe. If your brow space is wider, your nose will appear shorter. That makes your face look shorter, which in turn gives off a cute vibe. I kind of like that cute feeling, so since the space between my brows is naturally a bit wide, I just embraced it. I kept my brow space wide instead of narrowing it, and I drew them quite distinctly. I ensured my eyebrows weren't too faint at all. Next, the eye primer. I'm going to take just a touch of my absolute favorite Blur Nude color and carefully apply it to conceal the darkness around my eyes. See how much brighter my eye area looks? The eyeshadow itself isn't actually that pigmented. Given my makeup inspiration, I believe using this Dear A peach-colored base would be a perfect fit. I'll gently dab these two colors on quite generously, spreading them out to both sides. Just spread it out. Switching to a smaller brush, I'll mix these two for the shading. This one is a bit too orange, so I'm mixing them. And now I'll do some eye shape correction. I've explained this a lot before, but you imagine a thick new crease line and fill in the color up to that point. Just imagine that thick new crease line and fill it in. That's how you get that perfect eye shape correction. This can look unnatural if you haven't done your nose contouring yet. You need contouring first, then eyeshadow to naturally connect it all, so it's best to do it with your contour. I pulled the eyeshadow forward and blended it out towards the front, correct? Naturally, I'll need to extend that blend backward as well. I think the longer your eyes look, the prettier they are. I'll extend it out. Nice and long, it really opens up the eyes. I'll use the same color on the outer corner too. Okay, the base is done. Next, I'm going to draw my eyeliner with eyeshadow. I'll dip it in the dark color. This is one of the brushes from that Aurora 3-piece set I mentioned, and it's so convenient for eye makeup. I'm going for a really defined eyeliner today. It can be tricky to start with a liner right away, so I'm creating a guideline with eyeshadow first. Eyeshadow is easy to fix, so it's a good idea to draw the line with it first. How about we do a subtle wing for the tail? Instead of sharply flicking it up, I'll draw it almost straight and then give it a slight upward curve. And I'll draw it out a bit longer. Okay, I've extended it. This is the number 5 liner. I'll do an outer corner extension, as I normally draw from front to back. This looks really natural, but today I want it a bit bolder, so I'll do it in reverse. I'll go from back to front, never follow your natural eye shape. If you draw it like this, your eyes will look really closed off, so you're creating a new eye shape where there wasn't one. Not here, but you create the space from further down. Don't start here, start lower. There's a brush on the other end. This is so convenient. You just have to smudge it with this. I intentionally extended the outer corner line more than my usual, making the eyes appear significantly wider and longer. The angle is important. You shouldn't apply it too high up. You need to angle it down a bit like this. Take a bright reddish color, then blend a bit of the eyeliner with it. Then it creates a reddish, yet deep kind of shading color. With that, you're going to deepen the area that you just colored in earlier. The brush is so small, which makes it really easy. I'll fill it in a bit. Now, another important thing is this wing I drew. Underneath it, I naturally have some shading around my eyes, but doesn't it look kind of messy? It almost looks like two lines, and I have a little concealer on. You need to erase this shadow with a tiny amount. That will make the eyeliner look much cleaner. You're basically erasing your natural shadow. People with downturned eyes especially have a lot of shadow here. In fact, some of you might feel you always have to draw your eyeliner downwards due to that shadow. You may also want to try changing your eyeliner, but you can't really draw it because of the shadow around your eyes. If so, you can just erase it with concealer like this. Then, blend it out a bit more with eyeshadow. You want it to just broadly fade away. Just let your hand relax and lightly sweep it on the inner part of your lower lash line, helping it appear more open and expansive. Next, I'm going to make the line darker. I want to create a more defined line. The cacao brown shade is distinct, but it's a wonderfully warm brown, not nearly black, so I believe it will harmonize well with these tones. I'll carefully draw over it. It should be easier to draw since I've already made a guideline with the eyeshadow. If you draw it on your waterline, it's just going to get erased when you use an eyelash curler. You know, because the pressure of the curler will make it smudge right off, and all that effort would be for nothing. I applied it only to the top, and now I'll use a darker shade to soften and blend out that line. I'll apply some glitter, Vavi Mellow. This color looks great now. Dab it on, and then spread it out. You want to apply it just enough so that you can clearly see it when your eyes are fully open. Someone asked, "My eyelids are really small. I don't know how high to apply the glitter." The truth is, if you apply dark shadow too high, it will look stuffy. It will make your eyelids appear even more narrow. But with shimmer, it's fine. After all, it reflects light and adds brightness, so applying it higher up doesn't make your eyelids suddenly look tiny. It can even create an expanding effect, so if it's a sheer glitter that's not too dark, it's fine to apply it over a wide area. It's a glamorous makeup look, so I went a bit bolder. This Dear Dahlia highlight looks so pretty on the eyelids. The shimmer's quite flashy. It's stellar shine, but a little goes a long way, or it can look puffy. See, it's sparklier, right? I applied this glitter, right? But it has some really big glitter particles in it. Too much big glitter can look messy, so I'm going to remove some of the larger pieces. There are quite a lot of large glitter particles, and too many can look messy, so I'll stop here. I'll curl my lashes really well to make my eyes look much bigger. Now I'll fill in my waterline. So, how did I fill it in? I don't go all the way to the end. I leave the outer corner empty, only filling in the front and middle. Filling it completely makes eyes look smaller. Not filling it all the way makes eyes appear taller. And for the false eyelashes, I went to Daiso and found this design that's just so good. You see how they're longer at the back and get shorter toward the front? A design like this makes your eyes look longer. I think it's perfect for today's look. These are full strip lashes. However, wearing a full strip feels really uncomfortable and looks quite artificial, so I'll be cutting them into individual clusters. But before I cut them, there's glue on the band. If you apply them with this glue on, you can see it, and it looks messy. If you just twirl a wooden stick on it, the glue will easily come right off. It's a bit of a hassle, but I'll roll the stick over it to remove the glue. If the glue is left on, the lashes look really messy. Nowadays, many lashes come attached to double-sided tape. It might be better to just spend a little more money and buy those instead. Because this glue is stuck on here, but the lash design and quality are actually good. So I've cut them like this. One thing to be careful of when cutting is that you shouldn't let them get mixed up. That would ruin the shape, right? To keep this design intact, you have to be careful not to mix up the order. So, though it's a hassle, I cut a section, apply it, then cut and apply the next. I highly suggest this method. If you cut all the pieces at once, their order could easily get messed up. Since I extended the outer corner, I'll apply the lash there too. I applied it beyond my natural lash line to create a longer eye shape, carefully spacing them as I go. However, these false eyelashes have a transparent band. The band of these lashes is a little stiff. It's a bit stiff, creating a slight foreign body sensation. I wish it was softer, but given the low price, it's understandable. Look, concealer is caked under my Aegyosal. Just scrape it off with a pointed cotton swab. Next, I'll first lay down the pink glitter. After applying this, I'll use a shadow type, because I think the Aegyosal needs more volume. For a brighter look, I'll layer this frosty lavender eyeshadow on top. Applying the pearl first, and then a shadow like this adds more volume and makes it last longer. Next, I'll put some on a brush to clean it up a bit. You have to go over it with a brush to get a clean look. It would be boring if the under eye area was also just peachy pink. Under my eyes I used a lavender tinted shade. The lashes I'm using are quite long at the back and shorter at the front. The front part can look a bit sparse, so I'll apply mascara carefully. I love this mascara. It applies so cleanly. My lashes look thin, separated and defined. A thinly elongated look, not thick and clumpy. My lashes are so sparse. There's a light version and a darker version, and this is the darker one. I've placed one in the front like this, and I'll keep applying them with some space in between. At the end, I'll place it lower than the lash line. I applied the lashes all the way to the end, placing the tips below my natural lash root. I didn't apply it here, I applied it lower. I'm going to use a darker color to create a false eyelash root, making it appear more natural. I'm making the area where the false eyelashes are attached a bit darker. If you just stick lashes on a sparse spot, it looks unnatural, so I'm darkening it to create the illusion of a lash root, effectively extending it. If lashes droop too much, it looks odd, so I'll lift them slightly. The angle. After creating the underlashes like this, it's time for the Aegyosal shadow. For the shadow, my blusher is applied really high up, so it's kind of close to my eyes. So, using a similar blusher color adds a nice healthy glow. I'll mix these two colors. This brush is seriously a multitasker. I'm adding the Aegyosal shadow. See? There's a reason it's a bestseller. Today, I've really elongated my eyes, so the Aegyosal shadow should be long too. Extend it as long as possible, and a little for the inner corner, with a dark color, just a slight touch on the inner corner. It's crucial to check from a distance to ensure it's proportionate, because it can suddenly become too intense. So, with the 2/4 in white, I'm just gently rolling it on in a thin circle. See how it pops, even back then? Dab a little on the inner corner of my eye. Shading the inner corner like this and then adding a highlighter in front looks so pretty. It makes your eyes appear more open, but shading is essential. Otherwise it'll look really puffy. If you contour your nose, highlight it, and then do the inner corner, this area gets super defined. This side is matte. How about we try adding a bit more volume? Smile lines, mouth corners, brow area, just slightly. Just a bit. Brightening the outside of your nostrils slightly removes shadow, making your nose appear smaller. But too much could cake up. Just a little. I've brought some pretty lip products. For the lip pencil, it's peony. I really don't want to use a muted color. Given this makeup, if my lip color suddenly becomes dull, it would completely clash and instantly appear drab. So I opted for a lip color that's not muted at all. I'm just going to wipe off this lip balm. When you overline your lips, it's best to overline the center, but not the sides. Make it just a touch fuller than your own lip here. On the sides, align it with your natural lip line. Otherwise, your lips might look too droopy. Just overline the very center of your lips, and then use your finger to blend it inward. I'll use the same brush from my eyebrows, lightly apply some contour, and dab a bit around the corners of my mouth to lift them slightly. I'll just lightly apply it with an upward flick, almost as if I'm slightly extending the corners outwards. That looks too clownish. I'll just gently soften it. It might look a bit strange if it ends too pointedly. For the lip color, strawberry banana is absolutely beautiful. It's a soft, clear color, just like a strawberry banana, right? That's just perfect. It perfectly matches the blusher. How about I just add a touch of glow to the blusher, okay? I'll use a stick highlighter, but it will erase everything if I do. I'll dab the blusher I used earlier onto the puff. Tap some off. There's a little bit there, see? Now, with this, I'll apply the stick highlighter. Since there's blusher on it, it won't rub off much. It looks best when the glow hits right along this line. This is because when you highlight your V-zone, it creates a sculpted effect, making some areas appear recessed while others become more prominent. This is what gives your face that dimensional look. So you want to apply the highlight and glow along your V-zone line just like this. Oh, so pretty, right? However, a shiny forehead tends to emphasize skin texture, so I'll apply powder once more. With powder, it's matte, and only this part has that perfect shine. That avoids highlighting uneven texture. I have changed. We don't get to wear dresses very often, right? So I put on this off-the-shoulder top to get a bit of a dressy vibe. But underneath, I'm wearing pajama pants. A lot of you have been asking for my outfit details, right? I mostly do vintage shopping, like 80% of my shopping is vintage. So a lot of the time, I don't have the info. Sadly, this top is also a vintage piece, and I don't think it's from a specific brand. I also sometimes buy things from Fruits, and often, if an ad for a vintage shop pops up on Instagram, I'll go ahead and do some shopping there. You know those vintage shops in areas like Seongsu or Apgujeong? I frequent those kinds of places. If I happen upon a vintage shop while walking, I invariably step inside to browse. I've discovered that imported vintage items tend to be more distinct and beautiful. Japanese vintage is pretty, and so are the vintage pieces from the US. For my hair, I'm trying to decide between two options. One is just a bun hairstyle, and the other is wearing a fur hat. Still thinking. First, I'll brighten my skin a bit. The makeup alone just isn't cutting it. My hair isn't done yet either. After applying the tone-up cream, I'll go over this area with contour. Too bright here won't blend with my face, so I'll go behind my ears. I'll try on the fur hat now. I actually bought this one a really long time ago, like 2 or 3 years back, just on Zigzag. I just searched for fur hat, and I think it looks quite nice actually. Should I add waves to the ends of my hair? It's a bit messy. This Vidal Sassoon curling iron, was it 38mm? I'll just simply wrap it horizontally, just like this. When you curl it horizontally like this, you get that specific type of curl, almost like what you'd see on Hollywood actresses. A really bouncy look? I like it because it's more glamorous. I'm going to wear the hat, so I won't do the top part, just the bottom. Ta-da! I'm wearing contact lenses. These are LELAAC beige. Lila AC beige. With contacts, the look is complete. From the front, it looks clean, but from the side, you can see this shimmery glow. This sparkly blusher is the key point. So, I've done my makeup like this today. What did you all think? It was a glamorous but not too overwhelming look, full of that holiday vibe. I really put a lot of effort into the base, so the makeup might seem a bit complicated, but I hope you learned some new tips and that this helps when you try it. I genuinely hope that my video helps you all have an even more beautiful, joyful and wonderful holiday season. Thank you so very much for watching today. I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you.